I'm 103 years old. I've watched whole neighborhoods change names. I've watched technology shrink the world into a rectangle you carry in your pocket. I've watched people become louder, faster, busier, and somehow more tired than ever. And I've watched diabetes turn strong men into careful men. I've watched her tail eyesight, a little at a time. I've watched it take toes, then feet, then pride. I've watched it turn dinner into math, and every future into a question mark. So when I tell you I reversed my diabetes at 80, I'm not bragging, I'm confessing, because I didn't reverse it with a miracle pill. I didn't reverse it with a trendy diet name. I reversed it with a one change that sounds so simple you'll want to roll your eyes. But if you're honest, if you stop pretending you have unlimited later stored away like canned food, then you'll feel why this matters. I'm standing in the late season of life. You can smell the finish line from here. And from this distance, I can tell you something most people won't admit while they're young. You don't run out of time all at once. You leak it. You little decisions that feel harmless. A snack here. I'll start Monday there. A few years of I deserve this. And then one day the doctor says the number out loud, and your body becomes a bill you didn't know you were signing. That's how it happened to me. I was 79 when my doctor sat across from me and spoke carefully, like he was trying not to spook an animal. He told me my blood sugar was out of control. He told me my A1C was climbing. He told me I was managing, but I wasn't winning. Then he looked at my hands, my old hands with their liver spots and their small tremble, and he asked a question that felt like a knife wrapped in velvet. How long do you want to keep your independence? Independence. That word hit me harder than diabetes, because diabetes wasn't new in my family. My brother had it, my father had it, half my friends had it. Diabetes had become common, almost polite. People talked about it the way they talked about taxes, annoying, unavoidable, part of being alive. But independence, that was personal. That night I went home and sat at my kitchen table with a glass of water and the glow of the stove clock. My wife was already gone by then, and the house had that hollow quiet that widowers know. I thought about the things I still loved: walking to the mailbox without help, driving to the hardware store, tying my own shoes, waking up and deciding my day was mine. Then I thought about what diabetes does when it's done being patient, and I got scared. Not the kind of fear that makes you scream, the kind that makes you still, the kind that makes you stare at your life and realize you've been bargaining with your body like it's a stranger. Just one more cookie, and then I'll behave. Just one more holiday, and then I'll be serious. Just one more year, and then I'll be serious. Just one more year, and then I'll get disciplined. That's the lie. The most expensive lie. So here's the story you need to hear. Not the story you want, the story you need. When I was a younger man, I used to eat like I had a second body, stored in the garage, bread with every meal, sweet coffee in the morning, a little treat at night. And if you ask me why, I'd give you the same answer everyone gives: because I worked hard, because I deserved it, because life is short. Life is short, yes, but you can make it shorter with your fork. At 80, I didn't need another lecture about sugar. I already knew sugar was bad. You already know, too. You don't need information. You need a turning point. My turning point was not a diagnosis. It was a moment of humiliation. I was at my granddaughter's birthday. She was running around the yard like a spark-loving, shouting, "Alive!" Someone started a game. The kids wanted the adults to chase them, and I stood up fast, smiling, trying to be the fun grandpa. But my legs didn't agree with my pride. I got dizzy, not dramatic, not fainting, just enough to make me grab a chair and sit back down like an old man who was pretending he wasn't old. My daughter noticed. She tried to hide it, but I saw it in her eyes, worry. The kind of worry that quietly rearranges a family's future. In that moment, I realized something I wish I could tattoo onto your brain. The cost of your choices doesn't always show up where you made them. It shows up later, in front of someone you love, when you can't hide anymore. That night I went home and made the one change. I stopped eating after dinner. That's it. That was the one thing. Not I stopped sugar forever. Not I became a saint. Not I ate kale and sadness. I simply drew a hard line. When dinner ends, the kitchen is closed. No snacks, no just a little. No handful of something when I'm standing in the dark like a raccoon. No sweet comfort while I watch television. No eating because the day was stressful, or because the house is quiet, or because I want to feel something. Dinner, then nothing. You might be thinking, that can't be enough. Listen to me. It wasn't magic. It was leverage, because nighttime eating was my hidden engine. Nighttime eating was where the calories hit, where the insulin spiked, where my willpower went to die. Nighttime was when I told myself stories and paid for them in blood. When I removed that one habit, 3 things happened that changed everything. First, my blood sugar stopped getting hit with that late wave. I started waking up better instead of waking up already behind. Second, my appetite recalibrated. Mornings became simpler. I stopped being hungry in a frantic way. My body stopped expecting a midnight delivery. Third, my discipline got stronger because it was specific. Eat healthier is a fog. No food after dinner is a wall. And walls are easier to defend than fog. I didn't do it perfectly. I had nights where I stared at the pantry like it was a lover. I had evenings where the old cravings knocked like debt collectors. But every time I wanted to break the rule, I asked myself one question. Do I want this taste more than I want my life? Not a longer life, a freer one. Weeks passed, my numbers improved, months passed. My doctor raised his eyebrows. A year passed, and I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Control. Not control over the world. Control over myself. And that, more than any medication, is what reverses the direction of your health. Let me tell you the contrast, because contrast is how truth becomes visible. Most people try to fix diabetes by adding things, more supplements, more complicated plans, more apps, more rules they can't keep. They pile complexity on top of a life that's already heavy. I did the opposite. I removed one habit. I made my life lighter. You don't need a perfect diet to change your trajectory. You need one decision you keep when it's boring, when it's inconvenient, when nobody claps for you. Because nobody will clap. Your phone won't celebrate you. Your co-workers won't pin a medal on your shirt for skipping cookies at 9:30 p.m. But your body will remember, and one day someone you love will look at you, not with worry, but with relief. I'm 103 now. I still get aches. I still move slower. I'm not selling you immortality. I'm offering you momentum, because the real tragedy isn't that bodies age. The tragedy is waking up at 60, 70, 80, and realizing you spent decades negotiating with a problem you could have started solving with one clean line. So here is my question for you right now. While you still have choices in your hands, what is your after dinner? What is the quiet habit you treat like a small thing, even though it's steering your health like a wheel? Find it, name it, put a wall around it. And if you want the second part, how I made it stick when cravings screamed and my old routines fought back, tell me to continue. Here's what I did next, because a rule is useless if it collapses the first time you have a bad day. The first week was the loudest. Your body will argue with you. It will send cravings like little terrorists, not because you're starving, but because you trained it to expect a reward when the lights get low and the loneliness gets honest. Night hunger is rarely hunger. It's a habit wearing a hunger costume. So I gave myself a script, not a mantra, a script. When the urge hit, I didn't debate it. I didn't negotiate with it. I said out loud if I had to, kitchen's closed, try again tomorrow. Then I changed the scene. I stood up. I walked to the sink. I rinsed a cup. I brushed my teeth early. I forced a reset, because the moment you stay seated, staring at the pantry in your mind, you've already lost. temptation loves stillness. Motion breaks the spell. Second, I made it easier to win than to fail. I stopped keeping easy sugar in my house. Not because I became virtuous, but because I became practical. If the only way to break your rule is to put on shoes, get in the car and go buy it, the craving has time to die of boredom. Convenience is the true villain of modern health. Third, I replaced the ritual, not just the food. I realized I didn't miss snacks as much as I missed punctuation. Eating after dinner was how I told my brain the day was over. So I gave the day a new ending: herbal tea, a shower, a short walk outside, sometimes a phone call to someone I should have called years earlier. Same comfort, different cost. And I kept one sentence on a card by my chair. It said, "Don't trade tomorrow's legs for tonight's mouth." That sentence saves me more times than any doctor. Now listen carefully, because this is where you either become a different person or you stay the same person with new excuses. You don't need motivation. Motivation is weather. You need a line you do not cross, a principle, a boundary, the kind that makes you feel almost rude to your old self. If you're diabetic, pre-diabetic, or just scared of becoming what your family history promised you, this is your moment. Not next month, not after the holidays, not after you finish this stressful season. That season never ends. Start tonight. Eat dinner. Close the kitchen. Let the craving complain. Let it throw its tantrum. You are not its parent anymore. You are its boss. And in a few weeks, you'll wake up and realize something shocking. You're not being punished. You're being freed. You're getting your future back in small, quiet installments.